Our comic opens with a building in the city, and everywhere there's a giant web-like burn mess. Clearly, something big happened. Peter gets a call from Gwen. Peter? Peter finally responds, I'm here, and immediately gets guilt-tripped. Three missed calls. Peter gives an awkward excuse. Sorry, there was a thing at the High Line. Scene shifts inside a cozy, well-lit apartment where Gwen is walking while holding a phone. A thing? Peter gives a weak justification. Yeah, it fell apart, kinda. Gwen casually gives instructions. Don't forget the cider vinegar for the knishes, okay? Scene switches from a stylish living room to the bedroom. The bed is perfectly made with soft pink sheets. The whole setup shows someone planned this evening. Peter says nervously, I'll swing by Koppelman's on my way over. Gwen, full boss mode. 7:30. Parker, if you're late, then I'll show you what I used to do to spiders back in 2nd grade. Peter is stuck. Sure. Then Gwen puts the phone on speaker. Wait, let me put you on speaker. Next tale, dramatic close-up. Gwen applies lipstick in front of a mirror with a confident smirk. She drops the line like she owns the city. Peter, this is New York. Something's always falling apart somewhere. Then she teases him. Now come on, say it. Peter, hesitant. Gwen, she pushes. Say it. Scene shifts to above Manhattan. The entire city is wrapped in a creepy web cocoon. Buildings, roads, billboards, everything looks like a giant spider mess. And in the middle of this destruction, a familiar red-blue suit swings through. Spider-Man. Spider-Man hangs from a web strand, adjusts his phone, and casually says, Happy anniversary. The phone glitches slightly, he adjusts it again. Better. Background voiceover begins. These are Peter's thoughts. Tone serious. Manhattan used to sound like the world toning up. A blare of car horns, cursing and construction. Now, all I can hear is a cheerless wind and my own breathing. Spider-Man adjusts the web fabric clinging to him, as if he just came out of a cocoon and is now swinging between the buildings. His thoughts continue. Before the unraveling, I'd only experienced quiet like this once, when Uncle Ben drove me to Rockaway Beach one icy Thanksgiving. Panel shifts, flashback tone. We trudged along the boardwalk until we found an empty bench. Then we just sat in silence and watched the tide roll out until the winter sun hit our eyes. Peter's thoughts deepen. Years later, I asked him why he took me there that day. Uncle Ben's answer? It's where I go to think about your dad, he said. Memories live in quiet corners, Peter. They startle easy. A moment of silence might shake a couple loose in you. And then Peter returns to his mindset in the present, cold and blunt. But it didn't then, and it doesn't now. I'm Spider-Man. I don't have time for memories. Aerial shot of the city. Web everywhere. Buildings are literally unraveling, like someone has pulled apart the fabric of the world. Spider-Man's narration. I don't know how or why the unraveling happened. Nobody does. He swings across damaged rooftops. A gargoyle-like structure has also turned into threads. The city isn't just broken, it's unstable. Narration becomes more direct. Reed says it might have had something to do with the Molecule Man, but I can tell when he's reaching. Spider-Man swings from one building to another. Wide camera angle shows the destruction below. All we know is that one day everything began to fall apart. Bridges, buildings, and then the blunt punchline, even people. Spider-Man shoots webs with both hands, trying to hold things together. That's when the old webbing came in pretty handy. But then reality hits. Only trouble is, it doesn't last. Next panel, ground level. People are half-wrapped, zombie-like, as if they're unraveling. Spider-Man tries to save one man. All right, buddy, try to relax, and I'll get you fixed right up. The man, confused and half-conscious, woo-woo, hat and an. Spider-Man's body language is fast and efficient, but exhaustion is clear. This doesn't look heroic. It feels like survival and damage control. Spider-Man is holding a man and checking him. The man is half unraveled, literally broken into threads, his jaws missing. Peter reacts with his typical sarcasm. Wow, Otto tried to take you hostage again? You must give off serious hostage-y vibes, dude. Peter is clearly forcing humor under stress. It's a coping mechanism, not actual jokes. Spider-Man gently sets him on the ground. Okay, just chill. I can web you back together, but first we need to find what's missing. Reality. A body part is missing. Spider-Man jumps between buildings, shoots webs, and finally, Ah, there you are. One jawbone coming in hot. He casually picks up the jaw. See? Things are looking up already. He hands the jaw to the unraveling man. Hang on to this for a second, would you? The man, with part of his face missing, awkwardly says, "What it?" Spider-Man, "What do you think I'm doing, neighbor?" Peter swings off to fetch another body part. "I'm gonna go get your arm back." Narration becomes brutally real. Poor guy still knows what's happening to him. And the final hit, it won't last. It never does. Spider-Man's thoughts are sharp and cold. You can only glue a shattered vase back together so many times. And he applies the vase analogy to people. The same is also true of people. Spider-Man's thoughts get darker. They get trapped in an action or a memory, repeating over and over like a stuck record, until... Cut to Dr. Octopus. But this Doc Ock isn't the mastermind version. This is a broken repeat loop version. He keeps delivering the same villain monologue, like a tape rewinding. Face me if you dare, Spider-Man. A warm your overtures to this, our final duel. Now face me, Warcrawler. Face Dr. Octopus or this innocent man dies. Spider-Man swings into the frame, completely out of patience. Hey, Otto, nice hostage. Does it come with a body? Doc Ock himself is patched together with webs and bandages. His mechanical arms are still moving. Narration comes in on bad days, like today, when the exhaustion weighs like a cinder block on my chest. I wonder if they're the lucky ones. No hope, no motivation, just fatigue and survival. Spidey dives in fast, reckless speed, because he doesn't have time to be careful. And honestly, he's running on fumes. Internal monologue hits. If Gwen were here, she'd tell me to slow down. Yeah, she would, but she's not. And that absence is exactly why he keeps pushing himself harder than any sane person should. Spidey fires web shots like he's clocking in for a shift. I'd love to stay out and play, Otto, but I'm on the clock here. He's treating Doc Ock like a mid-tier chore, not a threat. Not bold, just exhaustion dressed up as sarcasm. Doc Ock panics, lashes with those arms. Stay still, blast your eyes. He sounds like a guy who's lost control of this situation and is trying to shout his way back into authority. Spidey doesn't even entertain his ego. He webs up the arms. Fast, precise, zero respect. Doc Ock explodes with wounded pride. I will not be dismissed like some household drudge. Completely missing the point. Spidey isn't trying to dismiss him. He just doesn't care enough anymore to treat this like a rivalry. Doc Ock roars. I am, Octavius. The dude is unraveling, mentally and physically. Spidey sees the situation turning dangerous. Actually tries to calm him. Otto, calm down. Stop straining or you'll... Too late. The mechanical arms yank. Something tears. And you don't need dialogue to understand what just happened. The panel explodes with... Arunch! It's ugly. It's loud. And it's proof that Spider-Man's fear is valid. You can't keep web patching broken people. Eventually, they break for real. Spidey isn't gloating. He's too damn tired for ego. Otto sits there, humiliated, vulnerable, mechanical arms hanging loose like wet noodles. And this is the part most people don't get about Spider-Man. He doesn't kick when someone's down, even when that someone just tried to murder him. Spidey kneels beside him. Steady voice. You know I won't, Otto. Otto's voice cracks. Don't laugh. Please don't laugh. This isn't a supervillain moment. This is a man realizing how far he's fallen. Spidey offers the one thing Otto doesn't understand. Kindness. I won't. Tomorrow or the day after that either. I promise. He untangles the arms gently, like defusing a bomb. Then something else interrupts, because of course it does. A massive flaming orb burns through the sky. Spidey stares up like the universe is trolling him personally. Come on. Reed, are you kidding me? No rest. No break. Spidey swings in. Casual, zero emotional weight for the wreck behind him. Take it a bit easier with your hostage tomorrow, okay? She grabs Spidey. They launch off the building, because the next crisis won't solve itself. Meanwhile, Otto finally whispers, I am Octavius? Not a declaration of power. It's confusion. Identity collapse. The man who once claimed superiority to every living mind is now unsure of who he even is. The Baxter Building, 6:14 p.m. On top of the Baxter Building, there's an insanely messy scene. The entire building looks wrapped in webs and machinery, like someone built a giant technology spider nest here. Inside, Spider-Man enters while shouting, clearly annoyed. Peter says, "You don't need the flare. I have a perfectly good phone right now, Reed." Scene shifts in the middle of a huge industrial chamber. Reed Richards' phone is stuck inside a tube. Reed's awkward response echoes, "I have a phone, Reed." And then Spider-Man finally sees Reed's new form. There's no concept of a human shape. Reed has become a horrifying fleshy mass spread across the floor. Twisted, pulsing, moving. Reed speaks in a calm tone. "I'm perfectly fine, Peter. Just a moment." Reed reshapes his goo-like body and says quietly, "Apologies. I can only imagine how disconcerting this must be." Reed continues, still in that melted, shapeless form. "I discovered that abandoning human morphology frees up significant cognitive capacity for, my work." Reed keeps talking in a calm lecture-like tone. "It's fascinating, actually. My mirror neurons were ape and observed human anatomy as well as behavior. So in the absence of, it's just me down here." Spider-Man, deadpan, "Can we move this along? I'm having dinner with Gwen." Reed asks with curiosity. "May I ask why?" Peter answers directly. "Because she's my wife, Reed." Reed, emotionless. "Yes, I suppose that's technically still the case." Reed continues. "But it doesn't explain why you keep indulging this inane anniversary meal fantasy. You have a responsibility to this city, son." Spider-Man grabs Reed by the collar and pulls him, voice full of frustration. Reed, "I sleep 3 hours a night if I'm lucky." Scene becomes more intense. Peter's face raw, exhausted. "Last I checked that we are $1.29 on the nose. Every day I wake up and I knit this hopeless city back together all by myself. Then my webbing dissolves and I do it all over again." Peter continues, describing how mentally done he is. "And meanwhile, you're down here being existentially confused glop." Reed snaps, shouting, "Do not talk to me about responsibility." Reed's tendrils jerk and Spider-Man automatically takes a defensive stance. Reed says, "Peter." Reed leads Peter into another underground section of the facility. Reed's words echo, "There's something you need to see." Spider-Man, sarcastic, "Hey, I remember that sonic gun." Reed, "What is this?" "It smells like the Portatori in July down here." Reed asks, "Your webbing degrades over approximately 3 hours, correct?" Peter answers casually, "Yeah, Otto had some ideas about extending its lifespan, but he's out of the picture." Peter asks, "What am I looking at here?" Reed explains, "It's a self-healing organic polymer that can theoretically replace your web fluid." Peter is even more confused, because Reed never gives a normal explanation. Reed continues, "I apply this special enzyme to make it adhesive." Spider-Man finally asks what anyone would ask, "But what is it?" Reed Richards steps closer to the camera, raises his hand, and reveals a piece is missing. And then Reed, completely emotionless, completely deadpan, says, "It was my finger." Yes, Reed Richards literally cut off a part of his own body to make a replacement for Spider-Man's web fluid. Peter's body language clearly says, this guy's not a human. He's a walking red flag. The comic continues. The scene starts intense and disgusting. Reed's arm is literally hanging over Spider-Man's shoulder. Spider-Man reacts the way any sane person would. Huge. So look, I gotta go return an arm. His face is basically saying, is this the punishment for my life choices? Reed stays completely calm. Zero embarrassment. With full confidence, he says, I'm not delusional, Peter. Your accelerated healing saved you from the unraveling. But I was saved by my elastic molecular structure. There are others like me out there. And then, the pitch. He shows a vial filled with the enzyme. Basically, salesman mode on. Bring them to me, and this enzyme could solve all of your webbing problems. Reed puts a hand on Peter's shoulder. His tone suddenly soft. Manipulative. You'd be able to rest, son. Realization flashes in Spider-Man's eyes. He looks toward the sonic gun. Now I know why that sonic gun's here. Last panel. Tension spikes. He grabs the gun, full determination. He's in New York, isn't he? A creepy sewer tunnel. Web walls everywhere. Caption. Venom is here. Timestamp. 7:04 p.m. His phone rings. He looks at the call. Gwen. I seen the time, hun. Hang tight now. Then Gwen on the other side says, don't forget the cider vinegar for the knishes, okay? Peter says nothing. And Gwen asks again, Peter, something's wrong. Peter, irritated, says, Gwen, listen to me. I'll be there soon, but I need you to hang tight for just a few more minutes, okay? Gwen threatens him, 7:30, Parker. If you're late then? Peter quickly says, happy anniversary, and hangs up. Peter's thoughts surface. Haven't seen Eddie in New York since the unraveling. What's he doing back here? Peter locks onto his target. Never mind. Need to take the shot before Venom fully emerges from the darkness. Tension peaks. Suddenly, Venom jumps in front of Peter and attacks him, saying, stupid, Parker. Slow and stoop. Peter's inner thoughts. But I can still remember my name, which means Eddie's either pulling his punches or he's in bad shape. Venom breaks the sonic gun and says, there goes the sonic gun, along with any prospect of getting this done cleanly. Peter shoots his web and says, okay, Eddie, Have it your way. He webs the rocks on the ceiling and drops them on Venom. Make me peel that thing off. The ceiling crashes down on Venom and he screams, Peter! Peter attacks and shouts, shut up and give me the suit, Eddie. This is bigger than you and me. Venom tries to explain. Peter, please! Eddie's gone. Peter stops, shocked, and asks, how long? Venom replies, not long. Tried to keep Eddie fresh. Gave all I had. Peter responds, you coulda left. Venom, emotional, says, you don't understand. Never have. The scene shifts to a church where we can see Eddie praying in front of Jesus. Inside Eddie, Venom pulls Peter into a flashback and says to him, 2 wounds we were, bowed and broken at the same altar. But we healed each other, Peter. Tourniquets braided into a beetle black braid. Eddie wasn't my host. He was my home. The entire scene becomes emotional and Peter's eyes well up. Peter says to Venom, I'm sorry. I can be that for you. I wasn't ready before, but I'm ready now. Peter reaches his hand toward Venom, but Venom steps back and says no. Then Venom shows Peter the real truth about Eddie and says, I watch my shadow ebb away on a tide far murkier than any lapping at the Rockaway shore. But sure enough, I think of my father. Suddenly, Peter remembers that he was supposed to be somewhere. Someone's waiting for him. Minutes tick by. Irretrievable, unforgivable minutes. Before I remember where I'm supposed to be. Then it hits him. Gwen. Scene shifts. 7:46 p.m. Peter throws his web and swings away. Jumping from one building to another, he calls Gwen. Come on, Gwen, pick up. Peter's thoughts. There's something so familiar about all this. Peter speaks into the call. I didn't forget. His phone slips from his hand and falls. The screen shatters. By the time Peter reaches Gwen, it is already too late. Gwen is wrapped in dried webbing, her body drained. She'd been waiting for Peter for a candlelight dinner to celebrate their anniversary. Peter, crying, places his hand on Gwen's shoulder and says, Gwen, I forgot the cider vinegar. He blows out the candle. The scene turns completely black. Peter says only one thing left to do, I guess. Scene shifts to Reed's lab. Dim lights, a completely serious atmosphere. Reed is bent over a microscope, fully in scientist mode. Reed adjusts the microscope without lifting his head. Any complications? Spider-Man lands on the table, exhausted. His body language shows he just wants to breathe. None worth mentioning. Reed, good, excellent. Spider-Man is clearly lying. His body language shows everything is not fine. But Reed is a scientist. Reading emotions is not his skill. Reed, without taking his eyes off the microscope, says, Peter, about Gwen. Spider-Man replies with slight irritation. 2 wounds we were. Reed, confused. Excuse me? Spider-Man, carrying full emotional weight. Just something an old friend was trying to tell me. Reed finally acknowledges his mistake. I spoke out of turn earlier, and I apologize. It was wrong of me to imply that your priorities aren't reasonable or considered. Reed's voice cracks slightly. Rare for him. I would have done anything to keep them alive, Peter. Anything. Sometimes I wonder if they were all that was holding me together. Spider-Man places a hand on Reed's shoulder. Silent acknowledgement. Reed, confused again. Peter? Spider-Man has already walked away mid-emotion. The scene shifts to a dystopian New York, where every building is covered with massive webs. Whatever Reed planned, things clearly look better than before. Peter's narration. Reed was right. Things are better now. The webbing hasn't completely fixed the city, but at least it stopped it from falling apart. The new webbing hasn't fixed the city, but it's arrested its decline for now. Next panel, Peter walks through a crowded street. The city is full of people. Webs hanging everywhere. I finally have time to think, to mourn. I'm starting to remember these odd details. A flashback forms in his mind. Aunt May's reaction when Uncle Ben died. Like when Aunt May went on a housekeeping rampage after Ben died. Flashback panel. Aunt May in overdrive. Cleaning non-stop. Cooking stacks of pancakes. Scrubbing the kitchen floor until it shined like a mirror. At night, I'd creep downstairs to find her frying up stack after stack of wheat cakes. Was scrubbing the kitchen floor hard enough to turn it into a mirror. Spider-Man swings through the city using his webs. Eventually, I thought I was going to have to call Dr. Feinberg, but one morning, she sat on the edge of my bed, smiled, and told me not to worry. A close-up of the webbing, as if a voice is calling a Spider-Man. I'm just trying to keep busy, sweetheart, she said. The page ends with a whisper. Peter, a creepy web, like a trap from a nightmare. Spider-Man hangs at the center of it, like a cornered animal. Doesn't look like the usual Spider-Man. His expression is aggressive, like he's losing control to anger. One day, you'll understand. Reed speaks from behind him. Peter, please, it hurts. Peter responds, I know, Reed, but you have a responsibility to this city. At this moment, it becomes completely clear Peter has locked away his emotions, logic, duty, and the burden of responsibility have consumed him. The webs aren't just holding buildings together. They're symbolic of Peter's mind, tangled, stretched, breaking. At the bottom of the page, a quote appears. In hell, there is no other punishment than to begin over and over again the tasks left unfinished in your lifetime. Andre Gide. And with that, the Darkhold Spider-Man ends. I didn't really like this comic much, and I didn't understand a lot of it either. Now, you tell me, what did you like about this comic? And if you have any questions, you can comment and ask. Until then, bye, and take care.